What is up, everyone? And welcome back to another edition of Kevin and Zach Reacts. Kevin will be joining me in a little bit, but the Baltimore Orioles fall to the Colorado Rockies 7-5 with Craig Kimbrell not blowing the lead, but giving up the go-ahead runs in the eighth inning. You also have injuries to Dean Kramer, which if you saw that bump, that arm doesn't look great. Arm did not look great. You then have Ramon Arias rolling his ankle. I think they said he left on crutches. I mean, could this game have been any worse? I mean, obviously a loss is a loss. The loss sucks, but then you take into account you lose Dean Kramer. You take into account Ramon Arias, who was one of the hottest, if not the hottest hitter on this team. You lose him. Craig Kimbrell blows the game. I mean, Adley Rutschman 0 for 4. Gunnar Henderson 1 for 4. O'Hearn gets a big hit. Tony gets obviously the home run. Cowser 0 for 4. It just feels like it's the same. Me and Kevin say it all the time. It feels like the same day every single time. It feels like every game's the same story. It's either the offense takes the lead and then the bullpen gives it up. The offense falls behind early and never gets going. It felt like tonight at some point that this team they couldn't stop coming back. They went out, tied it up, or went down 3-0, got it up to 3-2, go down 5-2, come back, tie it up 5-5. You felt like the momentum was there. But just once again, I think the weirdest part about this team is every single time you feel like the momentum is there for the grabbing. We talked about the Tony Grand Slam, the Jackson RBI double, bases loaded double. Every single time it felt like there was momentum for the taking for this team to run with, it just gets lost. It just gets lost. You felt like when it got tied up 5-5, you still had guys on base. There was the opportunity to go and take the lead, and you couldn't do it. But you felt okay because you went and tied the game, but at the end of the day, you weren't able to get any more runs. And it feels like that's just the story of this season. They just came up short. This is kind of what it also felt like today. 1 step forward, 2 steps back. Obviously, at times they felt like they had momentum, and then they just killed it. They weren't able to do anything with it. So just a really brutal game. I guess we'll start with Dean Kramer. Pitched 3 1/3 innings, 6 hits, 4 earned runs, end up getting charged to him. The biggest thing that we can talk about Dean Kramer right now is his health. You feel like this is probably an injury. I think they said it's some sort of contusion right now. So it's not. They said it was the X-rays were negative for fractures, I believe. So negative for fractures, and then it's a contusion. I'm not sure. Obviously, I'm not a doctor. I'm not sure how long that thing's going to keep him out for, but that doesn't seem like something. It's hard for me to see him coming out there in 5 days to pitch. Obviously, it looks like you get Zach Eflin back tomorrow. Rosters expand tomorrow. We'll talk about Kobe Mayo. They already announced was going to join the team already, but now with Ramon Arias out, looks like Kobe Mayo is going to be the everyday third baseman. This team is talk about injuries. If Ramon and Dean both have to miss time, you're just adding more people to this never-ending lists of injuries that the Orioles have had to deal with this year. Let's go a little bit better. Keegan Aiken goes 2 2/3 of an inning, 1 hit, 1 earned run, strikes out 2. What you would like to see a little bit better from him. He had been one of your more consistent, probably was at one point right after the All-Star break, your most consistent reliever. Didn't really impact him in the long run. They still lost by 2. Bert Smith getting back on track. 1 inning, strikes him out, no earned runs, no hit. Gregory Soto. Is Gregory Soto like getting it together? I mean, I'm just asking. Do I trust him? Do I trust him in high leverage situation? Not right now. No, I'm not saying that. But 8 straight scoreless appearances for Gregory Soto. I'm just saying. The guy has not been. We all overreacted at first, I think. I think we all had the exact same thought. What the hell was that trade? We gave up Johnson. Like, what were we doing? I don't think anyone really, after the first few outings from Soto, no one was feeling great about that trade. People felt like we got fleeced. But 8 straight scoreless for Gregory Soto. It seems like right now, Gregory Soto, like I said, I'm not saying throw him in the 8th in a tied game. I also would say don't throw Kimbrell in the 8th in a tied game, but that's what we'll get to. We'll get to that in a minute. But Gregory Soto, it always felt like he was a power arm, a power lefty. You saw what the Orioles saw in him. You understood when you looked at his metrics. You looked at all of the numbers. Big, high velo guy. He gets strikeouts. It was always a matter of, and you saw it when he was an all-star in Detroit. If he gets the control down, he can be dominant. But when he can't find the strike zone, we've seen that already. We've already seen what happens when he's off of his game, and we've seen just how quickly something can blow up in his face. But we're also starting to see Gregory Soto when he is kind of in a groove like he is right now, 8 straight scoreless. So you love to see that from him. If he can get to just continue to what he's doing, obviously he's still going to give up most likely a run this year. Like, he's not going to be perfect throughout the rest of the year, but you absolutely, this is what you were hoping to see from Gregory Soto. So you feel a lot better right now about Dominguez and Soto, those trade acquisitions for the bullpen. Before, we were all hype about Dominguez. I think he's the closer. So, I mean, it's turned out pretty well so far. Now you add in Soto. The trade deadline, people get upset because of the Trevor Rogers deal, and I understand. The Trevor Rogers deal, I think, sucked. That was a horrendous deal. I miss Connor Norby every day of the week. But the rest of these trades have not been as bad as people kind of make out this deadline to be. So moving on, Cionel Perez gets a third of an inning, 2 walks. He was not on his stuff at all today. I tweeted out last night, actually, that when Cionel is on, I think he's probably a top 2 pitcher on this team. I think Cionel, I'm a big Cionel guy. I think Cionel Perez, when he is kind of locked in, and you see that with Cionel, you pretty much know at the first batter what Cionel you're going to get that outing. If it's going to be a Cionel Perez that goes out there, we've seen him just go out, strike out the side. No questions. Then we've also seen times like tonight where he can't find the strike zone. Even when he gets ahead, it feels like he loses control a bit. He gets ahead 0-1, 0-2. Then suddenly you look up and you're like, crap, it's a 3-2 count. So that's the tough part right now, is if Perez isn't on, then you end up in a situation like tonight. Cano obviously helps get him out of that. And then Cano goes 2/3 of an inning with 1 strikeout. And then we all know what happened in the 8th inning. Craig Kimbrell, 1 inning, 2 hits, 2 earned runs, and 1 strikeout. Listen, okay. I understand. I'm not going to call Hyde out on this because I understand you had to bring someone in. You were forced to bring Kimbrell in because of Dean Kramer only going 3 1/3. The bullpen had been extremely overused, and you felt like you had to bring someone in. I just don't understand why Craig Kimbrell was the guy. I mean, I think you keep Cano in. I think if it was me, I would keep Cano in. But I understand where he felt like you want to still save Cano. You want to try to save the bullpen a little bit, Kimbrell. I don't understand why in the tie game in an eighth inning, in a game that you want to steal, because when you're down 5-2, when you're down 3-0, it feels like you need to steal that game against a bad Rockies team. The Yankees had already lost today to the Cardinals. This was a perfect opportunity to go out there and get back to within a half game of the AL East. Orioles are unable to do that. It just sucks because it feels like we're just the same thing. At least once a week, we're like, oh, Orioles were in it. Craig Kimbrell throws the game. It feels like that every single time. It feels like that's just the biggest thing when he enters this game. When he enters any game, I put it on Twitter, the guy shaking with his water bottle. Every time Craig Kimbrell enters the game, it just feels like my faith in winning that game goes down exponentially. It sucks. It sucks. Here, I'm gonna I see by the comments that people are not happy about Craig Kimbrell, and I understand. So, yeah, yeah. So I'm gonna go one up, one down. Kevin is in the chat. I have stories that will hopefully lighten the mood. Kevin, when are you coming? Okay, so Kevin, when are you getting on? Oh. Okay, so while we wait for Kevin to hop on, I'm going to do my one up, one down. So, one up, it's got to be Tony. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna say it. My one up, I'm giving it to Eloy Jimenez. First home run as an Oriole. Absolutely love the vibes. So, yeah, I'm going to go as my one up is Eloy Jimenez. Everyone's been asking him, we've been waiting, kind of like, when is that first home run? He's kind of a power hitter. Like, it's not like Eloy is this contact hitter. At one point, especially early on in his career, he was kind of one of those big power hitters in the league, one of those up and coming power hitters. So it was kind of weird that he had gone, I think it was over 200 some days without a home run. So it's good to see Eloy get on the board there. One down, does it even need to be said? Does the one down even need to be said? Craig Kimbrell, 1 inning, 2 earned runs. The Orioles lose the game on that. It was just it felt like it coming. Was it me or did anyone else, as soon as Kimbrell got brought in, you felt like it? Hand up in the chat. But like, I couldn't be the only one who, like, as soon as Kimbrell entered, I was like, this is what we're doing tonight. This is what we're doing. I was going to wait for Kevin to talk about this, but I'll give a little sneak peek to it. The Orioles once again 1 for 10 with runners in scoring position. 1 for 10. Gunnar Henderson 0 for 1. Jackson Holiday 0 for 2. Manuel Rivera 0 for 1. Jimenez 0 for 1. O'Hearn 1 for 1, getting the one hit. That massive 2 RBI single to tie it. Ryan O'Hearn feels like whenever we need a hit, he's the guy one up at the plate. Ramon Arias 0 for 1. Adley Rutschman 0 for 1. Colton Cowser 0 for 1. Anthony Santander 0 for 1. So pretty much it felt like the entire team had an opportunity with runners in scoring position, and they just couldn't do anything. Legitimately, the entire team. 9 guys had an opportunity with runners in scoring position, and all we had was O'Hearn get a hit. I mean, Orioles only get 7 hits on the night. You just this team. Kevin will probably talk about when he comes in. It's about consistency, and right now there is some consistency. The Orioles are consistently bad with runners in scoring position. We talk about wanting consistency. They've been consistently bad with runners in scoring position. If the Orioles don't hit home runs, they don't win. We've seen it even today. The Orioles, Tony hits the home run. Eloy hits the home run. 2 home runs, and they still can't win. Kevin, thank you. But Kevin, just get on the stream. Yeah, it's 6 left on base. Just over and over again, the Orioles get opportunities to put games away. They get opportunities to take the lead. 1 for 10 with runners in scoring position. I feel like a broken record. I feel like every game we come on here in the post game and we're like 0 for 7, 0 for 8, 1 for 10, 2 for 13. Like this team just simply every single day, it feels like this team, the one consistent thing is they are not going to come up with runners in scoring position unless it's a home run. We saw what? 2 days ago? Yeah, 2 days ago. Orioles were 1 for 7 with runners in scoring position. The one was Colton Cowser's 3-run homer. The day before that, the Orioles were, I think, 0 for 6 with runners in scoring position. And then I don't know. This is what sucks the most is with runners in scoring position. I think the guys I want to have up the least right now are Gunnar and Adley. Like the 2 guys that you want to be the leaders of this team, you would assume you'd want in the big moments are the 2 guys I don't want near the plate right now. It just feels like in the big moments, Gunnar and Adley are not coming up at all with any sort of clutch hit. It just feels like time after time we see Adley up, we see Gunnar up, men on base, massive inning, massive possibility, and then it comes up empty. Strikeout, pop up. It's draining. It's draining. I've said it before. I feel like the key word for this season so far has just been draining. You know, it's once again, it's the same story. Santander has to hit a home run for us to get runs. Eloy has to hit a home run for us to get runs. Ryan O'Hearn's the only guy that can come up with a clutch 2-out RBI chance. It feels like the exact same guys are doing the exact same things over and over. Cowser 0 for 4. He seems to be struggling again with 3 strikeouts. The other thing is just like this team, if you lose Arias for a long time, now you're forcing Kobe Mayo back into the spotlight. He's got to take over full-time third base duties. So now it's once again do you have too many young guys on this team? Me and Kevin talk about this all the time. There seems to be the lack of like this veteran leadership that they really thrived with last year with the Adam Fraziers, the Kyle Gibsons, the Aaron Hickses. Those were the guys that really felt like they made a difference. And right now it feels like it's just there's nobody something with this team. I don't know. Like, we always talk about this team goes as far as Adley Rutschman goes. Adley obviously is he's at a low. I'm going to call this a low for his career. It just the past month and a half, 2 months have just not been good at all. Yeah. Bobby also saying Mateo's out. Yeah. Jorge Mateo, that electricity he brings on the base paths, he just in the field making plays. I mean, you see it. We talk about how poor the fielding has been. Jorge Mateo was someone that you really relied on in the field. This is just this whole season. If it hasn't been injuries, it's been inconsistent play. It just this season, man. This season's been brutal, if we're being honest. If we're talking about a tough season to sit through, I mean, what a hot start. You get Kyle Bradish back. You felt like this season was really starting to turn around as soon as John Means and Kyle Bradish come back, and both of them are pitching lights out. Both of them, it felt like they just picked up their stride right where they left off. You were like the Orioles at one point, you could argue had the best rotation in baseball. You could argue the Orioles had the best rotation in baseball. And now every single one of them, except for Corbin Burns, is on the IL. That's just the reality of it. This team has just been ravaged by injuries. And then guys like Westberg, I don't know if you can say that this team would have won more games if Westberg was still out there, but you lose guys like Coulomb, Jacob Webb. Like every time this team seems to find some new underdog guy that comes out here and becomes Mr. Reliable for them, it's the same thing over and over. Then they get hurt. Coulomb steps up, becomes one of our best high leverage guys over the past year, gets hurt. Jacob Webb gets used damn near every single day, gets hurt. Jordan Westbrook, we called him the producer. The guy just simply went out there and got the job done. He found a way, no matter what, he gets hurt. Bradish comes back from injury, looks exactly like his Cy Young self. He's pitching great. It looks like everything's going up. You look at the Orioles rotation and you're like, this can match up with anyone in the playoffs. He and Means get hurt. It truly feels like this season has been one step forward, two steps back at all times. Just at all times, it feels like it's one step forward, two steps back. And Slater, I completely agree. This team just feels like they can never get momentum. I don't even remember the last time this team won 3 straight games. But this is Kevin and Zach Reacts. We go live after every single Oriole game, win or lose. We go live after Ravens games, breaking news for both teams. Kevin should be joining. I assume Kevin's joining eventually. He's in the chat. So Kevin should be joining momentarily. So, we go live after every single game, win or lose. Go live after Ravens games, after breaking news and all that. So if you enjoy the content, make sure to like and subscribe. So rough game. You felt like this was a great opportunity for the Orioles to take advantage of a Yankees loss and pull back in to a half game out of first place. Rockies, obviously a struggling team. We said as Oriole fans, this 6-game stretch against the White Sox and the Rockies, you wanted to see the Orioles win at least. You want to see 5. 4 felt like the minimum of you feeling content. You lose a game where you feel like you should have won. You lose a game where you felt like you had all the momentum. You tie the game at 5. You come storming back. You get to their struggle. Like we talk about the Orioles bullpen struggling. The Rockies have one of the worst bullpens in baseball. You get to the bullpen early and you can't get any runs off them. Like you just can't. After, let me check. After, you don't get a single earned run off anyone besides the starting pitcher. So against a bullpen that's one of the worst in the league, you're unable to go out there and get the lead. It just feels like this offense, they get momentum. It's right in front of them. You're like, okay, here we go. Here's the big opportunity. O'Hearn goes out and ties the game. Now we have men on first and third. You're sitting there and you're like, okay, this is the opportunity. Santander's up, flies out. Now, obviously, Tony hit the home run before to kind of make this 3-2. Tony did his part tonight, but it's still the same exact thing. it's when the moment is massive and the Orioles have a chance to really grab hold of a game, it just seems like more times than not recently, they're unable to take care of it. They're unable to take care of business. They even get tonight, ninth inning. I mean, it ends up not mattering. Cedric Mullins leadoff walk. You then steal second, advances to third, and we can't even get him in. You can't even get now. Would it have done anything? Would it have impacted anything? No. That run, we still lose 7-6. But even when the defense is giving them a run, if you just put the ball in play, the defense is taking it out, and you score the game, the run to go within one. Like this team just, it feels like, I don't know what it is, but they just are incapable of playing small ball at times. Cedric Mullins, thank God for Cedric Mullins, because he seems to be the only one recently. He's been bunting, taking walks, stealing bases, hitting runs. Like Cedric Mullins seems to be the only one over the past week or so who we've talked about how we wanted to see the Orioles go in with more of this street fight mentality. If you just scratch and claw to win a game, you put runners in motion, you put pressure on the defense, you send guys, hit and run, stuff like that. And even when Cedric Mullins is successful, walks tonight, goes, steals, gets on second base, can't get him in. Advances to third on a wild pitch, can't get him in. Even when this team is starting to do the little things right, it's not fully clicking. Like, it's right there. It's right there, and that's what's most frustrating about this, is it's been there the whole time. Like, the past month, every single day, you feel like they had that opportunity to win. That little thing, if this goes differently, they win that game. If they just get one more hit with runners in scoring position, 1 for 10 tonight with runners in scoring position, if you just find 2 hits in there, if you cut down on the strikeouts, that's the other thing. They have got to stop striking out with runners in scoring position. When guys are on third base and less than 1 out or less than 2 outs, you cannot strike out. But it feels like every single time they are in that type of situation, they strike out more times than not. And that's what, like, we talk about frustrating. That's what's frustrating, is when we get guys on third base, 1 out, no outs, and then we strike out 2 in a row. And you're like, all you had to do is put the ball in play. All you had to do was put the ball in play. And at times, this team is incapable of it. 11 strikeouts tonight. 11 strikeouts. You cannot strike out this much, especially with runners in scoring position, and expect to win baseball games in the major leagues. Especially in Coors Field. I mean, this is one of the craziest ballparks in baseball. Anything can happen here. We see tonight, obviously, you have to play so far back. They're getting blue doubles in for runs. Like, Coors is just a wacky place to play. And you have to take advantage of your opportunities, because if you don't, you're going to end up, what this is going to happen. You're going to lose. You're going to lose 7-5. Jackson Holiday, another 3 strikeout game. He gets a hit. It's nice to see Jackson's adjusting, because here's the thing. Obviously, he had that 0 for 20 streak recently, but it feels like right now, even when he's struggling, at least he's getting hard contact. At least he's getting hits. He's finding hits even when he's struggling, whereas when he was up the first time and struggling, it felt like the kid couldn't hit anything. So still struggling with strikeouts. You'd like to see that number. You would love to see the number go below 3 strikeouts in a game. But this is – Jackson's not the player that I'm going to sit here and say cost us the game. He got a hit. He got a run. He was more the solution than he was the problem. So, and we finally have the other half of the program, Kevin Ostreicher, in the flesh. How you doing, Kevin? Nice haircut.
As you can tell, I'm a little lighter in the hair department. Took about 5 pounds off. Man, is that my lighting or is my webcam? Hold on, my webcam is like, oh, it's the lighting. But yes, my hair. So we're good. Also, shout out Gary Williams, stole my lawn furniture. You see the beautiful merch.
Oh.
You see the merch. So shout out the boys, Brooks, Dustin, Brian, the whole crew over there. And the story that'll hopefully take away from whatever we watch tonight is I am also injured.
Kevin, what did you do?
You can add me, and the story is gonna probably get me made fun of. But you know what? Do I get made fun of enough already? The answer is no, obviously. I of course, it's just like my character. No. I made corn dogs today. I did. I made 2 corn dogs. I put them in the oven. And I went to take them out of the oven. And obviously I used the thing to pull the oven down. And I touched the stick. It was there. I touched the stick of the corn dog with my bare hands just after they were done and severely burned my fingers. Like it hurts a lot still.
How long ago was this?
5 hours, 7 hours ago.
Oh, Kevin.
So I can't type on my phone. I have to use one hand.
Mm-hmm.
So there we go. That hopefully takes away from the Orioles game.
Kevin, our everyone's favorite Oriole, Craig Kimbrell, gives up 2 runs in the 8th. How are we feeling about that?
I mean, it kind of stinks to say this, but I mean, are we expecting anything else in high leverage situations? I did the exercise. I don't think you were there for it. I think we did it together too, but I remember doing it when you weren't here as well. The exercise of how many runs would you feel comfortable putting Craig Kimbrell in the game with? And the consensus was 3 minimum.
Yeah.
3 minimum. And if they had done that tonight, they would have won the game. But lo and behold, they were not. And It was tied 5-5. And that is how, and I was listening, obviously, you know that. But the bullpen was taxed, obviously, with Dean going out, and you kind of had to scramble there. But regardless, and this is what I'm talking about with them playing a man down. They are playing a man down in the bullpen.
Yeah.
Because it's just like there's so much of this is like gamesmanship and trying to find the right matchups. And you need as many guys in that bullpen as possible to do that. You can't, in the playoffs, you can't play a man down. Mm-hmm. And that's what they're doing. Because you were talking about, well, yeah, the bullpen was taxed. They needed somebody. Well, they could have had another option that maybe gives them more of a shot than Craig Kimbrell. And as I've said, guys have been DFA'd for less. Guys have been sent down for less. Yeah. And Craig Kimbrell is still on the roster. I mean, my prediction, and I don't agree with my prediction, but I think they're going to have him on the playoff roster. I think that's part of the thing with him is if it hasn't been now, then when is it going to be?
Yeah, so you don't think he's on the playoff roster?
No, I think he is. I wouldn't put him on there, but I think they're going to put him on there. I personally would take him off of it, but history and my prediction is that they put him on the playoff roster. So obviously they got to get there first, but I'd be pretty shocked if they didn't.
I don't know if he makes it.
He shouldn't. He should not.
I think at the end of the day, if Coulomb and Webb come back, a guy like Colin Selby starts pitching well, comes up, pitches well, September call-ups, which happy September 1st, officially September call-ups. Orioles have 2 extra roster spots. One is Kobe Mayo. We know that. Woo. Kobe Mayo probably is now the starting third baseman for the foreseeable future with Ramon. But, man, Kevin, talk about playoffs. If a guy like Coulomb if a guy like Jacob Webb come back and they pitch well. I don't know. I don't know if Craig Kimbrell makes it. I think it's a tough decision, but it would not shock me. I think deep down he makes it, but it would not shock me if he didn't.
I don't think it would shock me if he didn't. I just think that they're already, again, I think Kimbrell was brought in this season and they said, you're going to be our closer. And he said, that's perfect. That's what I want to do. I want to find a team where I can close. And obviously we're not there anymore. And they've already pushed a lot of these different things of like they've strayed so far and rightfully so, right? He hasn't pitched well enough to be the closer, but they've pushed so far. Mm-hmm. There's all this stuff for what it tells. But my thing is always, I go back to this where there are two messages you can send with this. There are a couple, actually there are multiple, but I'm going to narrow it down to two. You're telling guys that it's okay to be as poor and play as poor as Craig Kimbrell has, and you don't get punished for it. Or if you get paid a lot of money, you don't get punished for it, which I don't, there's levels to that, but Kimbrell's on a 1-year deal. And at this point, like he clearly is just, he doesn't have it in those long situations or those high leverage situations.
Yeah.
So is the message you're telling your roster, like, yeah, we paid this guy a lot of money, so he's with us.
Yeah.
Right. That because again, like Nick Vespi, what did Nick Vespi do wrong?
Exist.
And Nick Vespi got DFA'd. He's been up and down and up and down and up and down the entire season, gets DFA'd. Craig Kimbrell had a great start to the season. Right, we can give Craig Kimbrell credit for that. Then ended up struggling for a little bit, came back and did really well. Mm-hmm. And then from there, it's just been downhill, just a train wreck. But it's been months now. And that to me is the well, if the guy's going to do this, then he shouldn't be on the playoff roster or the roster in general. But you paid him the money, so it's kind of like, I think I saw the comment up above. It's like, well, it's just a sunk cost at this point, so you got to just roll with it, which I don't agree with, but that's kind of what we're seeing here. If we weren't, he would have been sent down or DFA'd a while ago.
Yeah, I agree. I think he would have been DFA'd a long time ago if they didn't care. I was talking about before you got on, but I want to get your opinion on it. Gregory Soto, 8 straight scoreless appearances. Trey's obviously, I said before, I wouldn't trust him still in like a top leverage situation, but I'm feeling a lot better with how he's pitching. Obviously, you love the streak he's on, but Gregory Soto, the potential is still there, and I like where he's, the projection he's on.
I mean, we were talking about they were playing 2 down in the bullpen for a little bit there with Soto when he was struggling early. So it's good to see him get his stuff back. And that sometimes is what it takes. Couple of bad outings, new place, new city, new team, getting acclimated, just trying to work with coaches, work with your teammates, get the catcher timing down and catchers figuring out the pitchers figuring out the catchers. And then you just roll. And then you roll. So really glad to see Soto doing his thing. And look, they need it. Are we going to take the solution from Bert Smith? We're gonna put it? No, I'm just kidding. We won't do that. Bert Smith is forever the solution, even when he's not doing well. But at least for Soto, he's giving the Orioles some consistency. By the way, that was an absolute bar, man. I know I said it in the chat, but you are exactly right where there is consistency. The Orioles can't hit with runners in scoring position. There's your consistency.
Yeah.
Man.
Same thing every night. Same thing every single night, Kevin.
Yeah. Yeah. It's tough. It's the same stuff we talk about all the time. Again, it feels like we hop on here every night when they lose. And even in wins, their runners in scoring position numbers aren't great. And we talk about that. And again, you can hit homers. That can be a part of your game. Love it. Love the homers. But don't love it when it's your only source of runs. And the Orioles found 60% of their runs via the home run ball tonight. Major shout out to Ryan O'Hearn for getting those other 2 in. And hey, you know what? He's starting to get on a little hot streak here. So Shout out to Ryan O'Hearn. But, then it's again Adley. And I know you talked about Adley. Colton, who goes 0 for 4, it's that type of stuff. Gunnar striking out in a big or not striking out, but just getting out in a big moment. It's that type of thing that is the theme. And for as much as we talk about Corbin and like, oh, we worried about Corbin, his stretch has been a lot, and just sample size has been a lot less than Adley's, obviously, because Corbin doesn't play every day or near every day. But man, this Adley thing, there's very little explanation outside of he's getting under everything for the most part. Skying it. It's like it's what we see from Tony when he's cold, right? Tony skies everything when he's cold. It's the same thing here with Adley, and they can't have him and Gunnar because again, I've said you can have other guys besides those two carry your offense, but you can't ask them to do it for the whole year. At some point, your stars got to be stars, and Gunnar had that stretch a little couple weeks ago of like, okay, yes, he's back. But man, Adley hasn't been there for what? Better part of 2, almost 3 months now. And
it's just, and it's been tough. It's just been brutal to watch at this point. That's the biggest, most disappointing thing is it's just, there's no signs that the end is coming to it. Like it just is prolonged over and over and over again. And I don't know what's happening.
Do you think that the back thing is more serious than they're letting on?
I don't know. I would I feel like
because I do not. Yeah, we're not doctors.
I feel like if it was, I would hope by this point they would have done something about it, but who knows?
Yeah, or maybe Adley's just pushing to play through it, and it's not serious enough to the point where they have to do something about it. But I don't know. It's very realistic. It's just a slump. Like I don't want to blame anything on injuries that aren't there. Maybe it is. Maybe that's what's going on. But I think he's just going through it. About the same. Actually, I guess this is longer than Cedric's slump was, wasn't it? Because Cedric was better part of 2 months. We're going on 2.5 for Adley now. Because Cedric got it together after a couple of months. But Adley, I think it's at least in that same realm. But I do agree, and I see this. Ed is just the one that I saw most recent. You need to move him down in the lineup. You need to move him down. You do. There's no. Ed, I wish I had an answer for you. I don't know why. They tried him at 5. They tried him. Did they try him at 6 at points, or was he as low as 5?
I think 5, but okay. It's just. I don't know, Kevin. I don't know. This team, just every time something good starts to seem to happen. Ramon, we keep talking about Ramon's ankle. Ramon also got hit in the face, got his nose taken off.
Yeah, could not catch a break.
And then in his first at bat, he had to hit the deck because there was a ball thrown at his head. Just a horrible night for Ramon Arias. And
I know, if I was telling you, Zach, at let's say the beginning of May, that Ramon Arias got hurt and him being out is a huge blow, catastrophic to the Orioles offense right now and just their team, you would have laughed. We both would have laughed. We would have said, what are you talking about? Ramon is okay, he's cool, whatever, but catastrophic. Oh, it is catastrophic. He's been one of the hottest guys on the team. He arguably the hottest guy on the team outside of Tony, if you want to argue that, but he's been even hotter than Tony recently. So
yeah,
that's tough because again, we know that Kobe's coming up. And I saw the question on social media. I can't remember who said it, but if Ramon has to miss an amount of time, and I assume he does, right? I'd be pretty shocked if he didn't. Is Kobe now your third baseman? Because I think maybe you were thinking, he's going to place him first with Mountie out, and is that going to be? No, I think he's the third baseman.
Kobe is the starting third baseman for the foreseeable future now until Ramon's back,
or until Westberg is back. Either one.
Yeah. So
either one. And yes, I admit, Lav, I finally got the haircut. I feel like 5 pounds lighter. It's not. I feel free. I feel free. So it's a good feeling, but not a good feeling is the Orioles also cannot capitalize on the Yankees.
Yep.
Again. Nobody wants it. Nobody. You know what, Zach? I volunteer. I myself am going to win the World Series.
No one else
else.
too.
I am the World Series champion myself. I will take the trophy. We can display it in the studio like you did with your illustrious trophy. And there's the solution. I will take on the vast burden, apparently, because that's what all these teams view it as, because no one wants it. I will take on the burden of winning the World Series myself. I'll be like 9 Shohei Ohtanis.
That's very big of you.
Thank you.
That's very big. Ravens play in less than a week, which is crazy.
Yeah, did a couple more fantasy drafts tonight for Locked On Ravens. Have more on Monday. You're a part of those.
Yeah, I'm in it.
I know your pick is Stephon Diggs with your first pick.
Every time. Every single time.
Yeah, I did a couple of my friends today also. Was happy with one. Didn't realize one of them was a 2-quarterback league until like the second round, because like I saw Mahomes, Lamar, Josh Allen go in the first round. I'm like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, it's 2 quarterbacks. So I got Burrow and Justin Herbert. Even though I don't think Herbert's going to have a great year as a second quarterback, I'm like, whatever.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Let's see. Nightingale asking, outside of Burns and Tony, what's the next biggest priority this offseason? Another starter.
Yeah.
To me, it's another starter.
Yeah, especially with just questions about the rotation with Trevor Rogers. You don't know what you're going to get from him. Obviously, you need Corbin Burns. If Corbin Burns doesn't resign, you need probably 2 starters. So, yeah, I would say a starter. Also, a veteran bat. They need a veteran bat in this.
They need a couple. Yeah, I'd say 2.
Yeah, even if it's not for just starting, but for the bench as well.
Yeah, a guy that can come in and get you a hit and just can be a vet. I mean, that's what it is. But their rotation next year is right now Eflin, Grayson, Dean, and Suarez, because, right, he's pre-arb.
Yeah.
So Suarez. And then you have to factor in injuries here, obviously.
They're going to have to figure out McCann. McCann's a free agent. So if you don't get McCann back, are you looking for a veteran now at catcher? Are you going to allow a younger guy to come up from the minor leagues? I don't know that answer. I think I would prefer them get a veteran catcher to be your backup. I prefer veteran catchers as backups opposed to like younger guys, because I feel like catcher, like a guy that knows how to call a game, you would rather have that as your backup than someone still trying to learn along the way. Got to figure out Eloy Jimenez. Do you take on that contract? Because that's a lot of money. So I don't know about that. This offseason is going to be very interesting.
Yeah, and again, I said this, and I think Ryan echoed me when I said it, but I wouldn't be shocked if they make another Corbin Burns level move this offseason. Obviously, they don't have the prospects that, in terms of like the Norbies and the Stowers or anybody, but they still have prospects, plenty of them at their disposal if they wanted to move off of some younger players and go and get that Corbin Burns, because the price will be lower in the offseason because teams aren't, tripping over each other to try to get the same guy, and then the package level rises. And like we saw with the Kikuchi deal, that shifted the entire starting pitchers market. And luckily the Orioles got Zach Eflin before that whole thing happened. But there's not that. The offseason is a long stretch where sometimes teams just decide to trade one day, and there's something that materializes one day. So
yeah,
I think that in the offseason, would not be shocked if the Orioles made another Corbin Burns level move, or like a Screwball level move. I'm not saying him in particular, but like that level of a move. Yeah. I think that's what they probably got to keep, because all these prospects aren't going to get opportunities with the Orioles. We saw that. I mean, that's why Stowers and Norby were moved, because they were getting up there. I think Norby would have been Rule 5 next year, or eligible at least, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, but Norby already brought up he's on the 40-man. Norby would have been good.
Oh, but Stowers.
Yeah, no, but even he was on the 40-man. So
was he on the 40-man?
Yeah, Stowers was. Once he got moved up. So, yeah.
Oh, you're right.
So, no, we'll see what happens this offseason. It's going to be interesting, especially, I agree. I think they do make one massive move. I wouldn't be surprised if they move on from guys like Mountcastle. guys like that. We'll see what happens in those categories. So it's going to be really, really interesting. We'll see if they don't do. I know everyone's talking about it in the comments. We'll see if they make a managerial move. I'm not going to rule that out right now, especially if they are one and done in the playoffs again. So we'll have to see.
Yeah. I mean, I think that the threshold here is, if they lose in the wild card, if they make that and they don't win the East and they're a wild card team and they lose in that wild card series, we're probably having a very serious conversation about Brandon Hyde. If they make the LDS and they lose in the way that they did, last year it was okay. That's a young team. First taste of real playoff experience, right? Got swept, was not fun, but you can understand why. This year it's different because they have that now. They're more experienced. But the thing, and again, I don't agree with this notion because I know everybody's going to just do the shoot the messenger thing with me. I'm prepared. It happens. I'm prepared for it, but I'm just going to say this. If the Orioles bring back Brandon Hyde, I think it's going to be some level of, injuries were just so much this season. We want to see him with a full roster. I don't agree with it. Again, I'm saying I don't believe that because I think that there are other things that factor in. I don't think you should give a guy another chance if that's the route they go just because of injuries. But it has happened in all major sports before. Mm-hmm. Baseball's no exception, and the Orioles are no exception. So if Brandon Hyde is brought back after a super disappointing playoff exit or whatever it is or whatnot, I could see that being one of the reasons they go to and saying, well, we just wanted to see him with a full squad and see what they can do.
Yeah, I think if they bring him back, it's going to be because of injuries. They just deem that because if they I'm not going to call it a collapse because I think they still can win the division. They can still be the top team in the American League, but just this very disappointing second half, the manager would be in question if it wasn't for all these injuries. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. It'll be interesting to see what their thought process behind it all is.
Do you think this could be a Greg Roman situation? And what I mean by that is, do you think they get rid of the assistant coaches before the manager? Could you see them making because hitting coach changes is like everybody's talking about it, right? We haven't really talked about it, but everybody's talking about it.
Yeah,
Do you think that they would go with that for next year, and then if it doesn't work, they'd go Hyde the year after that?
They need to. I think the hitting coaches need to be moved on from no matter what this offseason. Hyde gone or no matter what. You can't put up the performance they have in the second half, and you can't be a serious organization and allow that to happen. They took a risk doing 2 hitting coaches for some reason, the only team in the league to do that, and it didn't work out. One of them has to get fired. If not, I would move on from both.
Yeah. They were the 2 last year, right?
No.
Wait, who was last year?
Last year was what's his name?
I'm so
because
tired,
then
man.
they brought this.
I'm getting lost in the sauce right here.
It was
because Fuller was promoted.
Yeah, Fuller, and then the other guy was. I forget who the other guy was. Yeah, I'm looking it up, and it's just not popping up.
Is there live research?
Yeah, but no, it is. So it'll be. Yeah, they're moving on. They have to move on from the hitting coaches, no matter what.
No, it was. They were the hitting coaches last year.
Was last year their first year?
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, last year was their first. They were there last year.
I thought this was the first year that we had 2, though.
No, because it's Matt, and I don't want to get his name wrong, but it's
Borschulte.
There we go. Oh no, so this is their 3rd year.
Well, something needs to change.
This is their 3rd year. Look at that. Look at how we do research. Look at how we do research.
I don't know why I swore this was their first year. I know it's the first year for the pitching coach, but I swore we also had them.
Yeah, no, we have press release here since this was in 2021 for 2022. So this is their third year.
Yeah.
Awesome. So I don't know what changed. I mean, the Orioles were awesome offensively last year. So I don't really know what changed here. But again, it's like this is also like a someone has to answer type deal.
Where they have to fire someone.
Whoever it is, right? We can talk about Hyde, hitting coaches, other coaches, executive, like whatever, players. Someone is going to have to answer. Someone always does in this industry.
Yeah.
Someone always has to answer for it. So whoever that is, we don't know who it's going to be. You know, we can talk about it, but we don't know. But I assume that if there's a disappointing playoff exit, someone or multiple people will probably have to answer for that.
Which they should. I mean, that's the point of this business. It's you're hired to get fired. You know, very few people walk out on their own terms in this industry, especially coaches. So, yeah, if you don't win it all, this is kind of where it is. Yeah. See Engraven in the chat.
Engraven, what am I gonna answer, Engraven? How am I gonna answer this? I answered today. I got injured today, if you didn't hear, Engraven. So I answered for that. I answered for my mistake. If I had to give an answer, I guess Ryan has to be the voice to decide my fate. If I have to answer for it.
Yeah,
I have to decide my fate. Appreciate you hopping in though, Engraven. You're the man.
Yeah, appreciate you, Engraven. I think it is to the point though where the hitting coaches are gone, just simply because of how poor, like the pitching coach. I can see getting a pass solely because of injuries as well. Like, let's just call it what it is. Like, the injuries have absolutely decimated the pitching staff. It hasn't necessarily been that with the hitters. You lost guys like Westberg. Obviously, you've lost guys like Mountcastle for periods of time. But it's not like the hitting just has disappeared in the second half, fell off the face of the earth.
Yeah, I mean, we can acknowledge that like the pitching injuries have been 10 times more than the offensive injuries. Not that the offense hasn't gone through it. Like, you know, we're not going to sit here and say the offense has been healthy because it hasn't. But it's tough. Man, Baltimore sports teams and their injuries.
Yeah.
Just can't. I don't know. Can't shake the injury gods. I don't know what it is. And neither can I, apparently. Scratch my cornea, injure my fingers.
I forgot about the cornea thing. Jesus.
I had to bring you on the screen. I was gonna tell the story without you on the screen, but I just saw your reaction and I said he has to be on the screen.
I was like, this is unreal.
So the eye's feeling better today. It healed.
Right, Kevin. I'm glad. Kevin, any last thoughts on the game? Kind of just a tough. I feel like we've covered it all. You just disappointment, same thing.
Yeah,
consistently inconsistent.
Yeah, you went over the injury stuff.
Just talking about how it hasn't been confirmed, or it's a contusion of some point of some.
X-rays were negative.
Yeah, X-rays were negative, and then Arias taken out on crutches, hoping it's just some sort of rolled ankle. You know.
Yeah, I mean, look, the Orioles had to use 7 pitchers tonight.
And you want to win that. Zach Eflin, sorry, my guy. I know it's been 15 days on the IL, but you got to pitch 8.
You are throwing a complete game.
And you know what? Zach Eflin, he seems like the type of guy who will go up to Hyder and be like, Coach, I got 135 pitches in me.
Oh, man. I mean, I guess, I'm trying to think which one of these guys could pitch. I guess maybe Cano could pitch tomorrow.
Cano, Dominguez.
Yeah, Cano, Dominguez.
Oh, well, also September 1st, they'll bring up a pitcher, and I'm assuming they're going to have a pitcher brought in for Dean Kramer and possibly a move for Ramon.
Yeah, I'd assume it's maybe like Selby. I'd probably go Selby.
Yeah, it'll be Selby.
Bowman's still recovering from his start the other night, so
yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, and yes, we do. Just a bit outside. Happy September. Sending good vibes.
All right.
Appreciate you. And yes, super chats are now live.
Appreciate you.
So appreciate that. Yeah, Kevin, just another brutal loss for the Orioles when you thought they had a chance to gain some ground on New York. They had momentum, tying it up 5-5, but falls short after Craig Kimbrell gives up 2 runs in the 8th. Any final thoughts on it?
Just tough. You kind of knew it was going to happen when it was happening. There's all this stuff now that you can almost like predict. When I saw the funniest, not funny tweet I saw tonight was the best thing that the Rockies could do in that situation was allow a runner in scoring position, because you knew that nothing was coming of it when it happened. And that's just where it's accurate. It's exactly where this team is right now. So, I always say get them tomorrow. You always say get them tomorrow, go win. It's obviously true. You can still take the series. If they lose the series to Colorado, I don't even want to know what this chat's going to be like. What our conversation is going to be like. But
it's going to be bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll be back tomorrow. It is a 3:00 game, I believe. So we'll be back earlier than we have been. West Coast trip is coming to an end. So it'll be nice to get going. So 3:10 start. We'll probably be live around 6:30ish. But yeah, I think that'll do it for this edition of Kevin and Zach Reacts. We're live after every single Orioles and Ravens game, win or lose. Yeah, so thanks for joining along. Hit that like and subscribe button on your way out if you enjoy it. Ravens season coming up fast. Orioles season coming down the home stretch. We'll be back at it tomorrow. As always, Cheweewees.